Oh, absolutely. I mean, every project that I've been involved in, I've been very fortunate, very lucky to work with people who are, willing to teach, willing to sit down and like give you words of encouragement and support you. I've been fortunate enough to not only work with Oprah and Whoopi Goldberg, but I've been able to work with Danny Glover on this film we did for TNT called Freedom Song. He was another great guy. Like, he was really cool. Who else have I worked with that? I mean, when we did the Jackson miniseries, when I played Michael Jackson, Terrence Howard was in that film as well. That's when he was like really first starting to do his thing. But he was also another actor. Took time out to talk to the other young actors and kind of give us advice and help along. And I got a chance to talk with Billy D. Williams a couple of times. We only worked together, I think, maybe like 3 or 4 days out of that whole shoot, which was like 6-month shoot. But even that little time that I got to spend with him, like, he was a great guy, really, really down to earth, and willing to help at any time. If you needed some advice, if you needed to go over lines, he was definitely there to support you and to help you along the way. So, like I said, I've just been able to really work with some really great people that have never, shown me anything but love and respect. That's what I try as well when I go on set now, from just having experience with being in television. Whenever I meet other young actors or other young people that are getting in the business and they really haven't gotten their feet wet yet, I really try to, take it upon myself to, make them feel as comfortable as possible and to let them know that, I'm here to support them, here to help them, and pretty much we're just here to have fun and just to breathe and, that whole thing.
Right. Now, since we're on the subject of the Jacksons, the Jacksons: An American Dream was a big miniseries on ABC documenting the family life of the Jacksons and the Jackson 5. Now, what was the audition process like for you to play young Michael? And I heard somewhere that Michael handpicked you, or explain the story.
No, that I have to say, out of everything I've done in my career, that was one audition process that was like really intense. I mean, when word first got out that they were doing a movie about the Jackson family, of course everybody and their mama came out to audition. So you had, massive cattle calls or massive auditions to where, how they have on American Idol, to where you just see like mad people outside of a theater waiting to get in and audition and sing. Those were like the auditions that took place for the Jacksons miniseries, because they were really trying to find relatively unknown people or talent that hadn't gotten any exposure yet and that was looking for a shot. I didn't necessarily go through that process. They had done, that was like their first process that they did. I think they had maybe found like 2 people that they eventually put in the cast that came from that. But by that time in my career, I wasn't really established, but I had an agent and representation to where they could kind of place a call on my behalf and get me to go on tape and audition. So that's what I did. I went to the office, stood in front of a home video camera, auditioned, read the lines, sang, showed them I could dance, and I think maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later, they flew me out to Los Angeles, because I'm originally from Chicago, so I was still living in Chicago at the time, and they flew me out here to Los Angeles and auditioned in front of the director and the producers, and so that went well. So the director and the producers liked me. So there was another auditioning process where I had to get the approval of the family. So then, the family had to see my tape that I did with the director and the producers. Then they gave their approval, which was great. And then the final decision came down to the network, ABC, and Mr. Michael Jackson himself. I think there were maybe like 2 other guys that were up for the role. But, I was blessed to get that role and to get that exposure. And being a part of that miniseries has probably been one of the major highlights of my career. But it was hard work. Like, it wasn't, like I said, throughout my career, nothing's been handed to me. I've always worked my butt off for everything that I've been able to get. With the Jacksons miniseries, I think it was even more intense than anything I've ever experienced before when it came to the level of professionalism and focus and the attention that you had to put into it. But, the end result, the final product, is something that, people still watch to this day and still enjoy. So, I guess all that hard work, wasn't for anything.
Oh, no, it wasn't. Also in the miniseries was Angela Bassett, Laura Hilton Jacobs from Welcome Back, Kotter and Cooley High fame, and also the lovely Miss Vanessa Williams as Suzanne the Past. Now, by you being so young and Vanessa Williams being on set, were you kind of like, I don't know what love is, but I sure like to find out?
Well, yeah, Vanessa Williams, of course, is a very beautiful woman. But, at that time, I was maybe like 13 years old. So, when you're 13, you start, as a boy, when you go to see your adolescents, like, you start getting them feelings, you start, you know, looking at things real different, especially chicks. So, you know, I was definitely looking at her like, oh man, you know, she's hot, she's dope, like that's Vanessa Williams. But I knew, you know, deep down inside, I didn't have any chance of getting to know her like that. But, you know, I definitely was on set like, wow, she really is beautiful. And, you know, on top of that, she was a really nice person and very professional.
Now, how did you end up playing your role in Thea? And also, Brandy was in Thea.